Over to you, Liz.
All right, very good. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's Doug meetup here in Kenya. My name is Liz Hallen and I am with Dynamics User Group. And as we get the meeting and the event kicked off today, I am just going to do a quick introduction in case you are not familiar with Dynamics User Group. So just a quick overview for you as we get started. If you've not heard of Doug or the Dynamics User Group, we are a free community for professionals that are focused on any of the Dynamics 365, Dynamics GP, or Power Platform communities. And really our goal and mission here is to offer as many free or discounted opportunities for you to learn and get educated on these core business application products and really help you excel and grow in your personal and professional careers. As we are meeting today, it's important that everybody participates. That is what a community is all about. So we encourage you to ask questions, network with your fellow attendees here on this online meeting, but we do ask that you refrain from selling your services or any sort of recruitment. That is not the intent here. And if you have any questions, please let myself or any of our lovely leaders know. In addition to the local Doug Meetup program that you're participating in today, we do offer several other programs, including forums where you can get your questions answered from product experts in our community. We offer free webinars, which are just 1 hour, typically sessions on educational content. We do have our large conference called DynamicsCon that happens once a year. We are doing DynamicsCon regional in-person events as well. And the recording from today's call, as well as our webinars and past DynamicsCon virtual conferences, those sessions you can find on our YouTube channel for free. So there's tons and tons of wonderful content and education out there for you at no cost. We encourage you to join Doug if you haven't already by going to dynamicsusergroup.com. I'm guessing most of you are not in North America, but if you happen to be coming to North America in the next 9 months or so, we are hosting DynamicsCon regional events. And these are full one-day events that are free to attend. And we have multiple tracks of content led by local volunteers. And I'm very excited that we are all coming to your neck of the woods this July. So I believe that we do have a call for sessions open right now. So if any of you are wanting to speak or even just attend, we would love to have you in either Ghana or Kenya later in July this year. And we're also coming to Europe in September. And if you are able to join us for DynamicsCon in person, that will be held in Chicago, Illinois, here in the United States, the week of May 13th. We do have a discount code here for all of our meetup members where you can get a 15% off of your registration. So that is what I have. A huge thanks again for being here and to all of our lovely leaders that I see some on the call here. And with that, I am going to pass it on to Sharon to kick off our speaker for today.
Hello, good evening, guys. I want to welcome you to our third meetup online for this year. And our speaker is Komi. He's an MVP, a solution architect, and Microsoft Dynamics AX and Dynamics 365 finance and operation technical consultant. He will take us through the topic of today, which is exploring the core capabilities of Dynamics. And it will be a good also for those who are trying to maybe transition from Business Central to finance and operation. I welcome you all, and please pay attention to the end of this event. Let me pass it to Komi. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Komi.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to today's session. Just like Sharon has said, my name is Komi Siabi. I'm going to be sharing my screen. Right. Please, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see. Maybe the rest can confirm. Innocent?
Yes, I can see it as well.
Okay, great. All right, so my name is Komi Siabi. Yeah, so I am a Microsoft MVP, a Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O technical consultant, and I am joining you guys from Lagos, Nigeria. I would say I'm very happy to be part of this. And for the next few minutes or for an hour, we're going to be looking at exploring the core capabilities of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations app. All right, so if you're ready for me, could you give me a thumbs up? Then we can begin. So if you're ready for me, I would like to get a thumbs up. Good. Good. All right, so I've talked a little bit about myself already. I am a solution architect. I also speak French and English fluently, so I call myself bilingual. I've been a technical consultant for over 6 years now, and I've been able to work on some of the versions of F&O starting from 2009, 2012, AX7, 1611, and D365 F&O, which is the current version of the application, and it is a web-based application. The previous one I mentioned here were desktop applications. So I also work with Microsoft Azure because deploying the infrastructure on the cloud, we mainly use the Microsoft Azure services. I also have a personal blog where I try to put some of the challenges or some of the new things that I learned during the course of my career. Okay, so moving on to the main topic of the day, which is exploring the core capabilities of F&O. So we're going to talk about what exactly is finance and operation. So when you hear me talk about F&O or FinOps, that's me just trying to abbreviate the word finance and operations, right? So finance and operation is actually simply one of the applications that we have in the Microsoft Dynamics 365 ecosystem. So Dynamics 365 has different applications. We have the CRM, we have the Business Central, which is on its own. We have the customer engagement, we have the Dynamics 365 sales, we have the field service, then we also have the finance and operations, right? So we also refer to the F&O as the ERP of Dynamics 365. So ERP simply stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So the ERP here is at the center. Then these are some of the different modules that we can come across in finance and operation. So starting from the general ledger, we have the accounting module, we have the procurement and sourcing, we have the inventory management module, we have the master planning, so on and so forth. So the F&O itself is further broken down into, I would say, smaller applications. So we have Dynamics 365 Finance, we have supply chain management, we have commerce, we have human resources, then we have project operations. So you might hear people say, we are currently using Dynamics 365 supply chain. Some will say we are using both finance and supply chain, or we are using finance and human resources. Now, in reality, each of these applications are being hosted on the same stack. That's to say, when you access F&O, you have a portion for finance, you have a portion for supply chain, you have another portion for human resources. So depending on the licensing of your implementation, you would either have access to just some of these sub-applications, or you have access to the entire applications in F&O. So I'm not going to go details into the licensing part here. We'll just talk mainly on the applications. So how do you have access to F&O? It's a web application, so you need a URL and an authentication. So how do we authenticate? You need to have your Office 365 credential, which is your normal email address that you use to access your Outlook, your Teams, so on and so forth. So once the license is assigned to you and you are given the URL of your organization's F&O portal, you can easily log on into the application. So I'll quickly go to a sample environment that I have so we can go through it together. So let's log on to my sandbox. Hey, good. So this is the URL. So it has a prefix, which is going to be the company name or the project name. Sandbox means that this environment is a sandbox or a UAT environment. Then you always have the dynamics.com at the end. So, like I said, you need the URL and you also need your Office 365 credentials to connect. So while that is connecting, let's come back to our slide. So part of the applications or the sub app we have in F&O, we have the commerce. So now we're going now into details to see the core capabilities of each of these submodules. So a step back, what we have the finance, we have the supply chain, the commerce, the human resources, and then the project operations. So for commerce, commerce is basically used for organizations that are into sales or point of sales. So we can use the commerce to set up channels, to configure your merchandise products. We can use it to create our order management. We can manage orders. We can manage financials. And the commerce modules also allow us to easily integrate to an external e-commerce application. So you have a site, an external site where you just can go, they can select their items, put them in the carts. Then at the end of the day, they click on shop. So via an integration, this can easily be connected to finance and operation app, specifically the commerce submodule. And there's a flow seamless between your customers, your products, and also your operations. So here we also have the ability to define things like our sites, warehouses, and some other storage dimensions on Dynamics. Now, moving on, we also have the human resources. So being an enterprise resource planning application, you cannot be able to manage other processes without having your employee details into the system. So out of the box, these are some of the capabilities that we have in human resources F&O. So we have organization hierarchy. You can bring in your jobs, your positions, departments. We can create employee profiles, tax management, business processes. And here, for instance, we have business processes like staff onboarding, or when staffs are leaving the organizations. All of these processes are available in human resources for F&O. Then we have a beautiful employee self-service where users can have some queries like checking their payslip, raising leave, creating cash advance documents, raising expense reports, adding new certificates, attending to new courses here and there. And when it comes to, I've mentioned leave also, you can plan for your leave. You can also raise requests like user requests, store requisitions are also available on the human resource module. And we can also extend, or F&O gives you the ability to extend the core capability in human resources where we can plug data from Dynamics 365 F&O and use this data either on Dataverse, Power BI, and even with external applications. You would agree with me that the Power Platform applications like Power Apps, Power Automate, and Microsoft AI, which is what we're calling now as the Microsoft Copilot or the Copilot Studio, can easily integrate with finance and operations to pull out data for you to build and design beautiful reports on Dynamics. So I'm going to switch back to the application. I think it's right here. So if you haven't seen it before, this is what it looks like. So we have the landing page or the home page. Okay, so when I click on this at every point in time, I come back to the home page. On the left-hand side, here we have the navigation pane where you have home, favorite, recent, workspaces, and modules. I'll come back to this. Then in the middle, we have some tiles that we refer to as workspaces. The workspaces are more like mini dashboard that allows you to have so many informations at a time based on your job description. So take, for instance, I am a collection officer. I have the credit and collection workspace that allows me to access direct information on this particular job task. And then here we have the calendar that shows today's dates, and we have work item assigned to me. So on this, we are able to see all the documents that have been sent for me to me for approval, whether they are cash advance document, expense report document, so on and so forth. So when I click on one, for instance, it takes me to a page where I'll see all the approval documents. So now we have this. So I can easily click on workflow. Either I reject, let's see, pick a different one. So I think these are submitted by me. So you're either resubmitting, approving, or rejecting or delegating. Yeah, so this is it. So I can approve, reject, so on and so forth. Now back to the home page. Like I mentioned earlier, when I click on finance and operation, it takes me back to the home page. Now, let's come to the modules. So here you will see things like payables, receivables, asset management, common. We have human resources. We have inventory management, so on and so forth. So we have all the modules that are being shown here, and I'm able to see this because I am a system administrator on this environment. So remember I mentioned that F&O itself can be broken down into sub-modules or sub-apps: finance, commerce, supply chain, human resources, and project operations. So when the license I have purchased is for Dynamics 365 Finance, I'll have access to modules like the account payables, the account receivables, asset management, fixed asset, general ledger. So these are modules that are packed into D365 Finance. So when someone says we're using supply chain, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a different application apart from finance and operations. It's the same thing you're going to have, but you might be restricted to see some of these modules like I'm seeing them here. Now, at the middle here, we have a search button where we can search for things across the system. So here, for instance, I want to go to all vendors. You can just type in all vendors, and the application is able to suggest places where I can access the vendor. So here it tells me if I need to go to the vendor page, first of all, go to the account payable modules, vendors menu, then all vendors. So when you come back here and I go to account payable, click on it. So you will see that I have the vendors, all vendors, then the vendor page opens. Voila. Another important thing I would like to mention is that being an ERP that is robust, it supports multiple companies, which some ERPs are not able to support. So here I have different companies, or we refer to them as legal entities on F&O. So Contoso is the parent company. Then we have Contoso in different countries, or it could be having the same companies in different cities, different states, or even different businesses. So we could have Contoso Steels, Contoso Juice, Contoso Robotics, so on and so forth. So based on the one that I pick, I'm going to choose USMF, which is Contoso Entertainment USA. All right. So USMF in this case serves as Kronos, the way we have it in Business Central, right? So when you select the legal entity, you would see that the vendors count change. So this allows you to manage your vendors independently based on the legal entity they belong to. But as a director or as a CFO, you can be given access to all of these companies on Dynamics. So that tells you also that we also have a structural security aspect of the system that allows users to access whatever they need to access on a role basis. And then we have Copilot. Copilot is our new friend that is now across everywhere in most of Microsoft products. So Copilot is also here to assist you to ask questions. If you're just new to the system, you can easily ask Copilot, how do I create purchase orders, for instance? So Copilot is able to tell you, create a purchase order, you need to go to this module, you need to access it, you need to access that. Yeah, so these are some of the information that Copilot will give you. All right, are we together? If you're with me, I would like to get another thumbs up. All right, good. Thank you. Okay, so let's go back to the slide. Now, we've talked about human resources. We also have the project operations capability. Okay, so by default in F&O, we have a special module for project operations. And on that module, you are able to create your resources, you're able to create your project, and you're also able to create your WBS, which is your work breakdown structure. Okay. And recently, Microsoft also created a different solution on its own, which is a project operation solutions on Dataverse or on Power Platform that can easily be integrated with the one we have on finance and operation. So I'll come back here to our demo environment. So down here, we have the project management and accounting module. So you have different type of projects, you have your resources, you have your tax, timesheet, and even transactions. So we can also create our project and easily integrate these transactions into the general ledger. Now, the one we have on Power Platform is a full-fledged project operation module, which can also be integrated with the one we have on finance and operations. And bear in mind that the one we have on Microsoft Power Platform also has its own license implication. Right, now, let's look at what are the use cases for finance and operation or ERP. These are some of the questions you need to answer when the customer is trying to decide between ERP, which is F&O, or Business Central. So some of the use cases we have here are limitation of outdated ERP system. It might be time for you to replace your existing ERP if you have lack of capacity. So when it comes to capacity, Microsoft, before deploying your F&O environment, we have what we call the pre-go live checklist. And in that checklist, you are able to provide a lot of information about your number of master data that you have, how many vendors do you have, how many items do you have, how many transactions do you process in a day. So all of these information is what's going to be used to provision the adequate or the right environment for you in terms of disk space, the RAM, and also where exactly this database should be provisioned. So we also have the region. If you are somewhere in Europe, of course, your data center should also be in Europe. Or if you are somewhere in the US, the data center needs to be used, should be somewhere close to you so that the latency is very, very strong. Then also, F&O gives you a lot of insights. We have pre-built report that comes with the system. We have SSRS reports. We have dashboards. We have Power BI. And we also have the accounting financial reporting that we also have. So those are some of the things that give you more insight of your data. So this might be one of the reasons why you want to move and use the ERP system. Then we also have a very rich data management structure in D365. You are able to use Microsoft Excel to easily upload it into the system, to export it out. And when you have data security constraint, F&O might also be the good to go solution. And if you have high costs, so the licensing in F&O is really, really based on what you use, right? So it's more of a SaaS application. Your infrastructures, maintenance, Microsoft takes care of all of those. What you need to do is use the system, and at the end of the month, you are given a bill and you pay. So it's only the license count that indicates the cost that you need to pay. So with D365, you are able to increase productivity. Being a web application, you can access the application anywhere you are, on your mobile phone, on your tablet, on your system, and approvals can be done quickly. So you also get control of your financial management. I mentioned that we have financial reports, which are some of the things that the directors want to see to make decisions. So it also assists you with human resource management, streamline project needs, improve supply chain and operations, and you're also able to make better decisions through business intelligence and AI. Now, with the advent of co-pilots, believe you me, supply chain, some of the processes in supply chain have been automated in a way that you can easily, by just typing into co-pilot, you're able to get balances of customers, how many invoices do you have due, how many payments. So AI also makes you to really make some intelligent decision. So here is the interface. I've just shown us a little bit of demo. So we have the navigation pane. We have user settings. So users are also able to determine the feel or the color of the application, the look. You are able to search. We can also filter. So we have a rich filter tool on F&O that also allows you to make your filtering much more streamlined. Let's quickly have a short demo again. So let me show you some of those things that I just talked about now. So by default, the color is a dark blue color. Users can change some of these informations by going to the user settings. So you can see the default colors that we have. So you should be able to see some of the colors that relate to your company, brand, logo, or colors here. So if it is green, if my company name is Green Life, for instance, I decide to go with the green color. Now, coming back to the navigation pane, we also have what we call the recent. So the recent allows you to see the most recent or the most pages, the pages that you've visited recently. So all vendors was the last thing I visited. So I have all vendors. Then we also have the favorites. So if I am a purchasing manager or a purchasing agent, some of the things that I do on a daily basis is to go to vendor's card or go to purchase orders. I can pin the purchase order as favorite. So by clicking on the star icon, you come back to favorite, you will see all purchase orders. So that will stop me from going all the way to account payables, purchase order, then all purchase orders. Now, talking about the filtering options that we have, I can filter based on each of these fields that I have here. And take, for instance, I want to filter for vendors that their name begin with Contoso. So you can put it Contoso, and you have contains, after, before matches. So if I put contains, it's going to show me all the customers or all the vendors rather where the name Contoso appears. Then you can also change a little bit the feel or the arrangement of the columns. So it's more like you're working with Excel, where you can hide some of the columns you feel you don't really want. So extension, for instance, I can right click and said hide this column. Primary contact, hide this column. Or you can even move the fields the way you want them. You can also freeze some of the fields if you want to. Okay. Now, workspaces. So workspaces is a one-stop shop for specific activities, right? So I talked about workspaces earlier. These are different workspaces that we have. So for instance, I want to pick the purchase order confirmation workspace. So with the workspace, you are able to have a little bit of information all over at a glance. Here, for instance, it says purchase order for review. Currently, I have 0. Open purchase orders, I have 1. So when you click on this tile, automatically it takes me to all the open confirm purchase orders. All right. Then we have a back button here that takes you to the previous page that you just visited. So another workspace we have is the employee self-service. Service at a glance, I have some information about myself. You could have your picture uploaded. So in this case, I'm standing as Julia Funderberg, the department, the worker type, whether you're an employee or a contract staff, the number of year of service, my direct line, and some other informations. Then you can see that Copilot also is trying to automatically generate some summary details about me. And also on the employee self-service workspace, I have some other informations. You can check your pay statement. You can add some other attachments. You can also begin your appraisal or your review process. And then there's some other information here as well. Okay, then we also have the mobile view. We have a mobile app for the applications, and basically mobile workspaces are what we use on this mobile app. You can use that to raise expenses, check your timesheets, raise cash advance request document, or even access some of your item using the advanced warehouse functionality on the mobile app. Okay. So let's talk about the security workflow and the concept of batch job, then Microsoft Copilot, then I think would come to the end. So understanding the security architecture. So every form, every page, and also every single line of record on Dynamics are being controlled by security rules. So here we have the user. The user is being assigned security roles. So you could have role 1, which is the account payable manager, role 2, which is the human resource officer. So each of the roles have different duties, and these duties have privileges. And you attach permissions to the privilege. So if I have a privilege, for instance, I say maintain workers detail, So I could have a permission that allows me to create a new worker, to edit a worker, or just to read a worker information on Dynamics. So with this architecture, we are really able to dissect or to know exactly what to assign to a user on the system, as not to expose informations that are not supposed to be viewed by everyone. Then we also have the workflow engine that allows you to move your document from one user to another through what we call the approval process. So I have a purchase order that says when the net amount is 5,000, whatever the currency is, I need just approval, 2 approvals. And if the amount is above 5,000, it should go to probably a line manager or maybe a financial controller. So this is a robust module that we have on Dynamics that allows you to ensure that without an approval, some posting cannot be done on Dynamics. The workflow module also comes with a rich notification system that allows you to notify users when they have something to approve, or maybe when there is the approval time has exceeded, you can also delegate automatically the approval to another user. Then the batch processing. This is something very cool that allows you or allows the system or the user to process so many informations at a time. So take, for instance, we have the counting process. So at the end of the month, the inventory or the warehouse manager needs to do some counting. So you can use the batch process to do some of these things. So the batch allows you to perform tasks simultaneously on Dynamics. And these tasks can also be performed on the background while you are doing something else. So these batches are being managed by AOSs. These are some of the components when it comes to the technical side of the thing. The AOS distributes these batches among themselves and they process your activities for you. Okay. I believe we're still together. Yeah, thank you. Good. All right. Now, Copilot in Finance and Operation app. So these days, you don't talk about any Microsoft product without mentioning Copilot. So Copilot gives access to AI capabilities, using privacy and ensure through stringent data protection measure. So just like I've demoed shortly, right on the homepage, being new to Dynamics 365 F&O, I can use the Copilot feature to navigate my way around through the system. So Copilot can be experienced in 3 different forms. One is in the sidebar, which is one here. So on the sidebar, you can ask information really. And Copilot is able to use some of the informations right there on Dynamics and also uses some of the informations on Microsoft Learn to give you exactly what you want. Then we also have the embedded. Earlier on, when I went to the employee self-service, you would notice that Dynamics was trying to retrieve some information for me. And also on the vendor card, this is the embedded Copilot capability, where Copilots will try to generate some information about this vendor Acme office supplies and tell me the total number of posted invoice is 0. There are 2 purchase orders with an open status. So in previous version, we didn't have this. So we needed to go back and run some reports here and there or do some filtering to see exactly how many purchase orders we have for this vendor. Then we also have outside. So we can also use Copilot Studio, where we are able to write agents. So maybe right there in your Microsoft Teams, you are able to make some queries that connect directly to finance and operations to give you information, taking into consideration user privacy to display what exactly you have access to view on finance and operations. All right, so the sidebar is the primary Copilot interface you have in F&O. You have the embedded, then you have the outside. So for embedded, yeah, so we have collection coordinator, summary. I'm going to drop some links for you later on the chat where you can explore some of these things about Copilot in finance and operations. So a little bit breakdown of how the embedded works. So we have a user that sends query and Copilot try to retrieve the information from Dataverse. And just to mention, we're getting to this place where even F&O would be hosted on Dataverse very soon. Currently, your finance and operation is hosted on Azure. The database at the back end is an SQL database. But Microsoft has this plan to unify everything through what we call the PPAC, Power Platform Admin Center. So once you deploy an F&O environment, everything sits on the Dataverse. This way, it makes the connection between Dynamics 365 applications very easy. So we also have integration capabilities. That's to say, you can easily integrate D365 F&O with other applications. So we can easily integrate with Power BI, which is quite easy, using what we call the OData or data entities. So if I give access to a user, users are able to easily retrieve data from, or third party are able to easily retrieve data from Dynamics F&O of finance and operations in a JSON format. So it makes integration very, very easy. Whether you want to integrate with Power BI, with Dataverse, or even with your third-party application. So for some of us that are developers, I want to show something that might be interesting to us. So when you go to the environment/data, it's going to show me all the data entities that I have on the system. And this data entity will then show me data in a JSON format. So here you go. So these are your key value pair. The calendar in this case is physical. So this one is a record. This one is another record. So you see that it makes integration quite easy. And of course, before you could access this, you need to have some authentications, username and password. You need to create an app registration on Azure. And with that, you need to generate a token. And from the token, we can connect and retrieve this data from F&O. Okay. All right, so these are some of the built-in reporting we have. I mentioned that we have SSRS report, we have Power BI, financial report, Excel reporting, embedded BI visualizations. So this to tell you that you can create your Power BI report either using F&O as a data set, or using external sources as data sets and embed them into F&O. Then we also have the electronic reporting capability that allows us to easily or quickly design reports that are company specific, like your tax report, your invoice report, payment report. Okay, so this is some details about SSRS, Power BI. So I also talked about the fact that we can easily integrate with Office 365 integrations like Excel, Office 365, SharePoint, and our email. So we can easily send out email from Dynamics 365. Also, we have what we call the dual writes. Just going to brush this quickly because of my time. So dual writes, the concept is being able to push data from F&O to other applications that are on Power Platform. That's a simple concept. So you build an application on Power Platform, you want to push data from F&O into the application, or you want it to be the other way around. So dual write is the mechanism that we use to interchange data between Power Platform and F&O. Okay. My slide is hanging. Okay. Anyway, coming close to the end, I have just 8 minutes. Sharon, do I still have up to 8 minutes?
I think from what we have heard, we can give our audience to ask some few questions if they have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
Any
so
question?
the floor is open. Okay. So I think I see a hand
Hi,
up.
can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Yes, so I came in late, so you will, I apologize if this question has already been answered, but are we limited to the two integration methods of auditor and dual writes?
No. So we can also consume external web services, right? So take, for instance, there is an application somewhere you want to pull it up from that into the system. You can you can consume external web services. We also have custom services. So that allows you to create your own custom services from Dynamics. And these custom services can either be represented as JSON or SOAP. And you can then share this endpoint with third party to consume data from F&O.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I think George's hand is up.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is George. First, I would like to thank Siabi for volunteering to be our speaker today. The presentation was excellent and very detailed. Thank you for that. I have a few questions I would like to ask, basically. I think the first one, can we get a free account, maybe where where maybe I can log in and try to do my my dummy input of data. That's basically trying to go through different processes by use of a sandbox account.
Okay. Yes. Is
Yeah,
that move go on? Let's hear the second one.
Okay, the other question is is finance and operation a full cloud solution? That is, I think it's my first time to interact with this solution. That is. Then the last one is on the side of the customization. Does the solution allows maybe end users to customize certain forms, basically maybe addition of new fields or maybe creation of workflows on their own without needing developer assistance? That is.
Okay. All right. So for the first one, do we have a trial version? Yeah, we used to have, but that has been discontinued. But the other option we have now is using a virtual machine or a VHD on your local computer. So you can deploy a VHD on your own machine and you have an environment similar to what I just demoed. But to do that, you need to have a partner license to be able to do that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Now, the second question was, so we have two types of deployment. The question was, do we only have it on the cloud? I mean, online, right?
Yeah.
So we have two types of deployment. The first one is having it on the cloud where everything is being handled by Microsoft. The other option is you can have it on premises. So with that, you are in charge of infrastructure, security, and any other thing. So the answer is we have both cloud and on premises. Then the third one is a user able to modify some forms? Yes. So in that aspect, we have what we call the personalization. Then we have customization. So customization involves you having a developer doing some programming to modify some forms here and there. And I'd like to mention that the language we use is X++. The second option you have is personalization. That one, users are able to modify the placement of some of the colons. You can hide some colon. You can add some colons that already exist on the table level. You can also freeze some of the columns, just like the way you have on Excel. So the answer is yes. Users can personalize the feel of the forms on F&O.
Thank you, Siabi, for answering my question.
You're welcome, George. Right. Okay. Think we're good.
Any other question?
Sharon, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Komi, for that session. And also thank you so much for everyone who managed to join. We'll still have another session with Komi for part 2 now, which it will be, I think we'll dive into FO. Okay, let me welcome Sangi, then Sangi to invite the rest of our leaders to say something, then we can end our session.
Thank you, Komi. I don't think we have time for that, Sharon, but appreciated. I think we are at the hour mark.
If there is anyone who has anything, you can point it out real quick in the next 30 seconds. If not, we can close. Sharon, back to you to close the meetup.
I see there is no one who have raised his or her hand. Then I think we can end up the meetup. See you guys next meetup on 25th April. Thank you so much. You are free to leave.
Bye. Thank you.